Today, Donald Trump clapped back at Carney for what he said about the U.S. yesterday. Remember that, Mark. He also addressed Greenland, and it seems that there's already a deal in the works. And finally, at 7:30, we speak federal gun grab with National Firearm Association's VP of Communications, Blair Hagen. We have a great episode planned, so stick around. My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the political orphans. 1 hour and 35 minutes is how long Trump's address at the WEF was today.
Is it that long?
Yeah, man. I listened to every single word compared to the 17 minutes that Carney got. Just saying. That probably means something, but I'm not gonna put you through this. I did this for you, so you're welcome. But there's a couple of videos that I did edit out that needs to be listened to. But here's what Trump talked about during his 1 hour and 35-minute address. Trump spoke against the Green Agenda, how because of their policies, many European countries are unrecognizable. He spoke against mass immigration. Obviously, he spoke about Greenland. And wait until you hear what he said about North America. He mentioned that the 2020 elections were rigged and that people will be held accountable for it. He spoke about how bad the media is, how you need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a fair media. He spoke about Ukraine and how the war would have never happened under his leadership. He spoke about the Golden Dome, drug prices. He addressed the housing market. And I like this, saying that America is not a population of renters, and how he wants to ban large institutions from buying one-family homes, which that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
He will be capping credit cards rate at 10% down from 30% for a year to help Americans recover from the Biden inflation. That's absolutely brilliant. But the part that really stood up is what he had to say to Mark Carney regarding his address of yesterday. Because if you remember, Mark Carney did say some things about the U.S., and he spent 17 minutes blaming the U.S. for literally 11 years of bad liberal policies without ever addressing it. But unlike Carney, Donald Trump is ballsy, and he called him out directly using his name. And here's what Trump had to say to Carney.
And Mark, for national and international security, and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay, is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada.
Oh, shit. Oops. Wrong video. I'm like, this is not right at all.
That sounds pretty good, actually. Carney's probably like, yeah.
No, but that one we need to talk about because of what he says in the address. But here's the one. Oopsies. Hold on. I guess I mislabeled my own video. How amateurish of my part. My apologies. My apology. Yeah, exactly. Noob. So there you go. Let's try this one.
There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing.
I know. Okay, I was right. It's just I left out. I left the first portion so it would make sense. So no, okay. It was the right video. Let's try that
Canada
again.
Gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements.
What?
So that is what he said. And he said it so casually. It was like mid-speech, like 40-ish minutes in, 35 minutes in, as he addressed all the things I just said. Right in there, he talks about the Golden Dome and how Canada's been very, very advantaged, and that they need to be more grateful. Remember that next time during your speeches, Mark. Yeah, so
that's wild.
well, are you really surprised that
No.
he actually called out? I knew that he would, and it's interesting because it doesn't seem to matter much to him on the grand scale of things, because he literally talked about him for what I just showed you there. That's it. He did not mention his name anywhere else. He kind of mentioned it. You'll see in the next video I'm going to play. He kind of mentioned Canada, about the Golden Dome and how automatically we're kind of protected. But outside of that, he did not mention really Canada, and even less Mark Carney. But I love the digs. He's very good at digging at people. And he even he talked about Gavin Newsom because he was in the crowd. He talked about, he's like, you people in the front, I all know what you do and what's good for you, and you guys have not done enough for us. He's talking directly to world leaders, saying, you know what? We had a 3-minute conversation and you changed your mind to avoid tariff, didn't you? He is just blast. He does not. And he's so relaxed. He's literally sitting there, not even almost straight, like almost leaning on the bench, on the desk, and just like, hey, shooting the shit. It's very, as much as I don't like to listen to him speak, because it's all about him, right? Everything is the best. Everything's about him. Best America has ever seen. The best economy has ever seen. Best economy. Everything.
Terrific economy. That's ridiculous. I mean, he's certainly buffoon. Yeah. I mean, he's buffoonish in that way, of course. Yeah.
But I wanted to share this just before we get to your opinion on this, because not only did Mark Carney spoke about the US for 17 minutes for blaming them for everything without ever really saying who he was talking about, but everybody knew who he was talking about. It's reported that Mark Carney left Davos without meeting with Trump after speech on US rupture of world order. So not only did he speak against the US and Trump yesterday, he didn't even have the balls to stick around after his speech. And Trump really made him look stupid. Like, to literally say to another world leader, hey, Mark, remember.
Yeah.
It's so like normal to him, the way he addressed it. And there's one other thing I wanted to mention, and here I'm quoting. I didn't edit the video. I don't know why, but I should have. But this part, I almost threw out my tea as I was drinking it. He said that, and I quote here, China produces almost all of the windmills, yet I haven't been able to find any wind farmed in China. China's very smart. They make them. They sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buys them, but they don't use them themselves. He's talking to a crowd that's pushing the green agenda. And he's basically calling them all stupid for buying wind, for buying anything that has to do with wind turbine, wind energy, but credits China for being smart because they're selling them to idiots without using it themselves. But the way he said it is just like Trump style. Love him or hate that guy, he's fucking hilarious. He is a funny guy.
Oh yeah, he's a funny guy. I mean, yeah, I find it refreshing, just that someone's just, there's a world leader who's going against the grain, because I think there's a huge problem with the way all of these world leaders are all in this same group think. And I certainly don't agree on everything Trump says or does. He's made, he's definitely a buffoon in a lot of ways. But I think there's a lot of value in just someone who's just refusing to play that game. There was a comment.
It's hard to disagree, because he likes to brag a lot, which kind of bothers me from a leader. But he's very good at what he does. Like, he does not speak like any other leader I remember ever. He's very different in the way he presents things, but he's very confident. Like, I think some of the stuff that he said, he knows is not true, but he says it and he believes it when he says them. Because he's basically saying right now the country is the best it has ever been. it's the best.
I'm sure he doesn't actually believe that.
No,
but
at
the same time, he also does. He's a weird guy. I think a lot of liberals, I think, have really hurt themselves and their causes by underestimating him. He's a lot sharper than people give him credit for, especially politically
this time around. Especially this time around.
Yeah. First time around, he wasn't quite sure what to do. I think he was overwhelmed by the office. This time around, he's clearly just not afraid at all to say or do what he wants to say or do. He definitely has a sixth sense of pinpointing the pressure points in the culture wars and just picking at them and picking at them.
He's a master troll.
Yeah, he is. I think I agree more or less with how Trevor summed this up. Trump is doing a good job, I'll admit, but he is no hero. That's kind of how I see it. There's a lot of, I think during normal times, Trump's probably a terrible president. I think he's probably a dangerous president in normal times. But in times where you need someone to go against the flow, to say, no, this is ridiculous, this is stupid. I think he is the president America needs right now in this moment. And like I said, I don't even like the guy that much.
It's hard for me to disagree with you. Love him or hate him, he's doing what he said he would do. And he's very good at pinpointing pains that he can use to his advantage. He's very good at that. Very, very good at that. I don't know if you saw, but it's one of the comments that I'm going to bring it up here because that's a great comment. Woke till you're broke saying, we have snow covers. Oh, no, that's not it. Sorry. Somebody spoke about Macron's glasses. I wanted to address that. Oh, it was him. That's what I thought. Macron's sunglasses, LOL. Macron was wearing sunglasses the whole way through. In the middle of a speech wearing sunglasses.
Trump
why, right? ripped it. Trump ripped into him but he ripped into him for it. He's like, have you guys seen Macron sunglasses? I wonder why he's wearing those.
Because his wife beats him up. That's absolutely true.
That is exactly what
it is. Did you see that video when they were getting off the plane a couple months back? And they were still in the plane, and the cameras were out, and you could tell that they did not realize they were on it. And she's just slapping the shit out of him. And he's like, like a little bitch. And then they look out and they see that people can see them, and they're all like, oh, and try to but she obviously just an abusive person and just slaps the shit out of them. That's exactly.
But that's what it looked like when I saw the glasses. I'm like, that looks like the same thing a woman that gets beat up by her husband is doing. That is exactly what I was thinking when I saw him walking around like a douche. Shit. Really like that douchebag in a nightclub that's wearing sunglasses. That's what he looked like because he thinks it makes him look cool. That's what he did. Like massive meetings with world leaders. He's wearing sunglasses. Like what the fuck? Stu, as always, thank you for the tip. There's a new world order because Mark Carney decided there's a new world order. Canada's nothing without the U.S., period. And I'm sure you didn't mean U.S. as period. But you're absolutely right. Mark Carney is not deciding that there's a new world order. He's the front man for it. Like I was talking about yesterday, the more I dig into Mark Carney and his involvement with the WEF, he was literally on the board of trustee when the 2050 net zero agenda came out. So you know that he participated in this. He's been talking about this crap for years. Like we're talking at least New World Orders. The earliest public reference to the New World Order by Mark Carney dates to 2009. So imagine behind closed doors. That's almost 20 years ago. So he's not only part of it, he orchestrated a lot of it. And a lot of it is pushed by the world's banks, like the central banks. And guess what? He is a central banker. So no surprises there that he's pushing this crap. It seems like his whole career is about selling this crap. So before we get to the next topic, because it's directly connected to Trump, I want to remind you guys that at 7:30 tonight, we are joined by National Firearms Association's VP of Communication, Blair Hagen, to speak about the new federal gun grab. And tomorrow, you don't know this, but I booked another guest tomorrow. 7:30 tomorrow, we are joined by Joe Anajar. I always destroy his name. He hates me for it. But Joe Anajar is the founder of the Canada First protests. And if you remember on Sunday when we were talking about the Unite Canada, I asked him about what's different between what you're doing and what Joe is doing, because I'm not seeing the attendance that I would expect to see to a Canada First movement. Turns out Joe was watching the episode and he contacted me on Instagram to say that because I had offered him in the past to come on the show. So now he's going to come to kind of explain what he's doing. So that's tomorrow, 7:30. But for now, let's talk about the next video that I wanted to talk about. It was also at the WEF, but I don't know if you heard about that, but Trump announced earlier with a post that I'm going to show you in a minute that he's canceling his tariff threats on Europe because it sounds like he reached a framework with NATO in order to obtain Greenland. So that was announced earlier. He posted about it, and it seems to be true. And he said something very interesting, because remember what we've been talking about, the Monroe Doctrine and the Dunroe Doctrine / the Trump corollaries. He mentioned it without saying it during his address today. And we were right. Like, I was right to bring that up, to say this is where he's going with this. This is exactly what he's doing. He literally put it out there today that it is his responsibility to do so, to protect the Western Hemisphere. Like, he was flat out, he said it. So listen to this.
There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. Everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our
Monroe Doctrine.
We've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now.
But listen to this.
That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history.
So he makes it very, very clear that he believes, as the American president, that it is his responsibility to secure the Western Hemisphere, exactly like the Monroe Doctrine from 1823. And he's very clear about this. He wants, the video is a lot longer. Like I said, the whole interview was like an hour. The whole speech was an hour 35. But one of the reasons that he quotes that he needs Greenland is not for the minerals, although we all know that he wants the minerals. Like, let's not lie to each other here. But if you think about it, he explains how Greenland is right in the middle between the US, Russia, and China. Like, all their missiles would have to cross over on top or above or near Greenland, and that's why he wants it to set up his Golden Dome. So, because he touched on so many things today that there's no way that I could break that down unless we took 4 or 5 hours to do so. But it's interesting how he keeps on pushing into the Monroe Doctrine. He keeps on bringing it up without really saying it, but he's making it very clear to the world powers that it is his responsibility as the US president to protect the Western Hemisphere. So we could not be any different when you listen to Mark Carney talk about how we need to separate ourselves from the US, align with China, and create a affiliation or an organization or multiple organizations of middle powers, like middle power countries like Canada that are not superpowers. And then you have the US that's like, it's our responsibility to secure the Western Hemisphere. So that AI map from yesterday, this year is going to be very, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen a lot of people, serious, not necessarily overly political people, like people whose expertise is in security and military and politics, who are not obviously libs or obviously conservatives, who are saying things like, I don't like the way Trump's going about it, but the more I think about it, the more it makes a lot of sense for America to have Greenland. There's certainly momentum building towards it. And you got to read between the lines a little bit with Trump. The way he was, very complimentary of the the Denmark leadership and stuff. To me, that tells me that negotiations are in play and they're going well. If he felt there was no way to get that diplomatically, he would be up there talking about how terrible they are. I think he's going to buy it. I don't think he's going to invade. I think Denmark, and it makes a lot of sense for Denmark to sell. I think, I don't know if this is fact or not, but there was rumors that they're going to offer $700 billion or something, which would wipe out all of Denmark's debt, like all their debt wiped out. I mean, that's pretty for right now. Greenland doesn't do anything for Denmark.
There are only like 56,000 people living there from the numbers.
Yeah, and that also includes like $200,000 for every person in Greenland or something. Like the incentives are just too strong. And America's clearly motivated to get it. I think it's going to get done, and I think it's going to get done amicably. Like, you're going to see handshakes and smiles from the Denmark side all around.
Well, here's the post that he posted just earlier today. Based upon a very productive meeting that I have had with the Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we have formed the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. This solution is if consummated, will be a great one for the United States of America and all NATO nations. Based upon this understanding, I will not be imposing the tariffs that were scheduled to go on in effect on February 1st. Additionally, discussions are being held concerning the Golden Dome as it pertains to Greenland. Further information will be made available as the discussions progress, blah, 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 blah. But he's making it very clear that it was not a joke that he wanted Greenland. But like you said, I think it will be done diplomatically through purchase. He's going to buy it. And I think the whole... I don't like countries taking over other countries. The territories don't belong to them.
Yep.
But I would be very curious to see some type of referendum done in Greenland to say, hey guys, this is a serious opportunity. I've heard numbers like Trump is ready to offer like $100,000 per person. So not only do you get like $100,000, but you become American. So you get all the freedoms that are associated with being American. That means you could literally leave Greenland and move to any state or territory of the US, no questions asked, because you are now American. I would be very curious to know for a 56, 57, let's call it 56 for sake of argument, 56,000 people, what they actually really think about becoming an American and also getting $100,000 at the same time. So it's a very interesting situation. I'd love to know, because imagine that they're for it. Imagine that there's a referendum and people are like, because I've seen videos of people saying that they would take it. So if they do feel abandoned, if Finland hasn't done anything for them for generations, they pretty much leave them there. 100 grand could be a massive amount, or just the fact that you can leave that block of ice, like Trump calls it, and move to the US. It's a very interesting situation. I'm really it's going to develop fast, at least it seems like.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I get that vibe that it's gonna, one way or another, it's gonna move fast.
We're bang on time. Blair's been patiently waiting for like 10 minutes in the back. I love when people are early, unlike my liberal co-host that always shows up late. Blair is here. Thumbs up, Blair, if you're ready to go. We'll bring you up. Awesome. So we are joined by the National Firearms Association's VP of Communications, Blair Hagen, to speak about the new federal gun grab program. And I apologize, sir, if I destroyed your name. Welcome.
So, yeah, thank you very much. I go by Blair Hagen.
So for once, I was right. Awesome. Good stuff. So thanks for joining us. We have never spoken before. It's the first time that we have you on. I reached out to you guys. Follow me on Instagram, so I'm like, I'm gonna reach out to them to see if they can come up and kind of talk about this gun grab. I'm a gun owner. Rob is not. I didn't tell you this, but I'm a conservative Christian. Rob is a anti-woke liberal, but he's ex-military, so he understands firearms. I'm a firearm owner, so I'm directly touched by what's going on right now.
Right.
So I have a few questions. I have a lot of facts that I want to present, and hopefully you can make sense of all of it for us and our listeners.
Sure.
So I'll start by saying that since 2020, actually, you know what? Before I go there, how about you take a minute or two to speak about the National Firearms Association? Because to me, there's two lobby groups, and I don't know if calling you a lobbyist group is an insult, but you have the NFA and you have the CCFR. The CCFR is bigger than you guys, but you're the second leading lobbyist gun group in Canada.
I disagree with that.
Oh, the show is all about disagreement, so that's good. But do you want to explain to us what the NFA is and what you guys do?
Absolutely. Canada's National Firearms Association is Canada's oldest firearms advocacy group. We started in 1978 in Ottawa. We are the oldest, we are the largest, we have the biggest membership, and that includes gun clubs and ranges right across Canada. We have been doing this since 1978, and we fought successive pieces of legislation, not just from liberal governments, but also from progressive conservative governments. And I think our most crowning achievement, or our greatest victory, was the defeat of long gun registration in 2012. We fought that piece of legislation tooth and nail right from the start, and we finally found ourselves in a political situation where our efforts paid off. And that registry ended in 2012. I think people are finding out today why we fought it so hard. But I'm very proud to represent NFA, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have in regards to this latest liberal foray into civil disarmament.
You're a lot more polite than I am, so that's a great place to start. So let's talk about this gun grab, because since 2020, the Liberal government prohibited more than 2,500 makes and models of so-called assault weapons. Let's continue there. Can you describe what an assault weapon actually is?
A definition of a military assault rifle or assault weapon is a select fire firearm, a firearm that is capable of both fully automatic fire, burst fire, and semi-automatic fire. Obviously, those are not available for commercial sale in Canada. basically what the Liberals are focusing on right now is a new term that they've developed, assault-style firearm. And basically that pertains to modern firearms that do not resemble firearms that were available to Canadians in the past. Hey, firearms technology, firearms manufacturing is like any other industry. Styles change, appearances change. The type of firearms that people wish to acquire and the uses they want to use them in change as well. And the Liberals take a very dim view of that. The fact of the matter is that they assert that these firearms are more dangerous than any others. That is absolute nonsense. They are functionally identical to firearms that Liberals have not even touched or targeted. So obviously, we completely reject that. I think anybody who knows firearms or has common sense rejects that term that they are trying to introduce into the gun control debate in Canada. And it's unfortunate that they are targeting law-abiding individuals. And let's be frank. I mean, who are they targeting? Firearms license holders who acquired their firearms legally, lawfully, owned them lawfully, acquired them lawfully. And I think they should be ashamed of themselves, frankly.
I couldn't agree with you more. It literally looks like they're racistly going against black guns. Because it looks like everything that has a plastic stock that's not wood anymore, that looks, and don't dare having a forward grip on your gun, because that's an assault weapon right there.
The shoulder thing that goes up,
Yeah, the barrel that's shroud. Assault. Yeah, that's assault. But let's dig into the what you think about the gun registration, because not the gun registration, the gun ban, because to me, it's like they're blaming legal firearm owners like me that have my name ran through 2 federal databases every single day. That's more checked than a convicted pedophile. Yet instead of focusing on crime and the 90-ish% of illegal guns that come from the US, they focus on people like you and I, like we're the bad individual. Is that not the message that they're sending to the Canadian population with this gun grab?
Oh, absolutely. And they would deny it. And they've denied that for years. What you got to understand is they regard us as killers in waiting. At worst, killers in waiting, and at best, a public safety nuisance, okay? This is part of an international movement towards civil disarmament. You've seen several similar initiatives in, England, Australia, New Zealand, places like that, especially targeting modern firearms and semi-automatics, and also handguns as well. It's part of a social re-engineering agenda. I think that's undeniable, and I know Canadians will stand up and fight this.
Blair, I've got a question. We talked about this the other day, and I was mentioning that it seemed to me that a lot of the police forces across Canada are not really on board with this. You probably know specifically which ones and which not. So can you give us a little bit of insight into where the police forces are sitting on this issue?
Let me. I have them all down. Let's
go right ahead.
I wanted to finish with that part. Rob's good at screwing up my order of questions, because it's a very but it's a very valid question, and it needs to be addressed, because that's the whole point I wanted to make with this show, is the Canadian response to it. I just want to make sure that the people out there that might not be educated on the subject, because surprisingly, we did a video on this a few days ago, because I'm a gun owner and I'm a very avid gun owner. But I've also had quite a few videos go viral on social media where I just take the time to explain what the average individual might not know. So before we get to your question, Rob, because I'm very surprised by the response, considering how complacent Canadians are normally, and I'm very happy to see it. But just before we get into this, I really want for you to kind of give your opinion, because I ran the numbers earlier, because it all started like on Monday. One of our followers, Wilf, he's always in the comment section. It's like, hey bro, did you receive that? He texted me on Facebook. He sent me the email that he got from the RCMP, or Public Safety Canada. I went to my Gmail. I'm like, yep, I got it. So it's stated in there that Starting on Monday, which was 2 days ago, on the 19th, until March 31st, licensed gun owners who possess any of the prohibited firearms are able to apply for the assault-style firearm compensation program. It's estimated by the parliamentary budget officer that it will cost over $756 million. Fraser Institutes is saying more like $1.8 to $2 billion.
Yes.
What do you think is the main goal of this buyback, considering how much money it's going to cost? Because that's money that we could give to Ukraine. No, I'm just kidding. But that's money that we could do a lot with. Why do you think they're spending all of that money?
We could fund drag queen hour at the libraries. We could do all kinds of stuff. All kinds of good stuff.
Why are they spending it? I think there's several reasons. This agenda has been going on for many years, okay? And periodically, Liberal governments will undertake regulations or legislation to seize as much property as possible, okay? I think there's a lot of Canadian politics involved. If there is any support for this, it's probably centered in places like Quebec. The Quebec government very, very vehemently supports this. A lot of the tragedies that have been suffered have been in Quebec. It seems to be a different issue in Quebec than in the rest of Canada. I understand that. I think Quebec is wrong-headed in its support of initiatives like gun confiscation, registration of firearms, and targeting firearms license holders, people who lawfully own and use firearms. But they seem to think that these people are the main danger to public safety rather than the criminal misuse of firearms. So there's several different things tied up in this. But it's largely, it's political. And as you know, it has nothing to do with public safety. It's not going to save any lives. It's going to deprive people of their lawfully acquired and owned property. And, but frankly, they don't care because these are liberal values. Guns are bad. Guns have to be removed from society. Any way we can do that is legitimate. And that's basically where we stand.
So I couldn't agree more. I'm from Quebec. I'm in Montreal right now. I spent half my time in the US, like Alabama. I'm a big fan of the South. And I'm from Montreal, spent half my life in Ontario. But yeah, you're absolutely right, because this is the only place in the country that has a gun registry for non-restricted firearm. And that is a provincial thing. That has nothing to do with the federal government. And I was looking, because going back to what Rob was asking you about the police force out there, I looked it up today. So the Toronto police came out to say that they will not enforce it. A few months ago, the OPP said the same thing. Today, Doug Ford said that he will stand with legal gun owners. The Premier of Manitoba, Wab Kinew, will not enforce it. Daniel Smith will not enforce it. Saskatchewan will not enforce it. The only place I could find in Canada that has stated that they would is Quebec. They said that they will cooperate with the federal government.
One other large one, my own province, British Columbia. We have an NDP government here which supports the federal initiative and says it will participate.
So does that surprise you? Because like Rob was saying, you can restate. Just go ahead and ask your question from earlier, Rob.
Yeah, I was just asking what what you can tell us about the state of police force. I know the OPP said they won't. I believe Toronto police just recently came out and said they won't.
It varies from province to province. I know the large police unions do not support this. You hear a lot of talk about the guys on the ground, the guys in the field not supporting this. If there's any support for it, it's centered on police administrations, the political police, law enforcement agencies like the RCMP, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, there's very, very little real support for this initiative. And what there is largely political. And everybody knows that and understands that. And it's unfortunate it has to go this way. But the fact of the matter is, I think it's very, very important that those law enforcement agencies or entities that have stated that they do not support it, and especially the provincial non-participation, that's very, very important because it basically dooms this initiative, well, it really was doomed from the beginning. But I mean, the fact that the greatest number of provinces in Canada are not on board with this and will not provide provincial resources to affect the confiscations of people's firearms, basically sets it back to a point where it's not going to be achievable. If you look at this logically, I mean, the scope of this program, it's not achievable, certainly, and not in the couple of months that they've given themselves till March 31st, and certainly not in the scope of the life of this government, which may be very short.
What do you make of it? Does that surprise you? Because I think that was a part of the, at least that's where I thought Rob was going with this, because I'm surprised by this. I was surprised to see so many premiers come out, because Wab Canoe there ain't a conservative. Yeah. He's a liberal.
No, he's
a very liberal dude. I'm not surprised that Saskatchewan's going after. Yeah, my point exactly.
He comes from a background of, you know, hunting, fishing, that sort of thing. Firearms are, you know, everyday part of life. I guess he understands firearms. He understands the issue and knows that this has nothing to do with public safety, and it's not going to help protect the people in his province. So I think it's common sense. Even a guy like Wab Canoe, who you would think, I mean, coming from the NDP, certainly in my province, the NDP are all on board with this, but in his province, I don't know. I guess he's just got more common sense.
It's hard to associate NDP with common sense, though. I got to say, those things normally are oxymorons. But does that give you hope?
Oh, absolutely. My God, I mean, as bad as, and I talk to people every day about this, and as you can probably imagine, there are a lot of people who are very, very concerned and very, very fearful of this. And frankly, I have to tell you, that's unforgivable. Okay, that a Canadian government would subject its people, its law-abiding people, who prove themselves to be law-abiding and holding licenses, holding registrations, everything that's necessary to lawfully own a firearm, to target them this way, and now to have them living in fear of their legal status, fear of the future, and offer them in such a crass way. Hey, you got 2 months to register your gun in our confiscation registry. You may be compensated, you may be not, but you know you should do it because and frankly, they haven't even made a case that this is necessary for public safety. You know, the few sort of excuses and bromides that they put out there have just been basically laughed at by people. So it's not widely supported. It's not widely accepted. And I have to tell you, I see a lot of parallels between this and the old long gun registry of the 1990s and early 2000s. And it was a different political situation then. You had a massive majority Liberal government. You had no opposition in Ottawa. My God, the Bloc Québécois was the opposition party in Parliament at that time, and they could basically do whatever they wanted. And you know what happened to that registry. It failed spectacularly, wasted billions of tax dollars, and but they stuck to it, and it was not ended until the government changed.
But it's interesting you speak about Quebec because, like I said, I'm from Quebec, and there's an election coming this year in 2026 in Quebec, and the people that are leading in the polls by a massive amount, by like 20 points, are not only separatists, but they are gun enthusiasts too. And the leader came out to say that he supported legal gun owners, because I read somewhere, and I can't remember who said it, that this gun grab is going to only be possible if Quebec and Ontario make it happen. It seems like it's not going to happen in Ontario, so all that's left is Quebec. And if that new government is elected, because the government in power right now is leaderless. He just quit. They're going to elect somebody from the inside, but it's a baby party. So there's nobody there with any type of experience in leadership. So strongly, it's going to be a separatist that's going to be elected, and they don't condone it.
That is surprising coming from a Quebec party, a Quebec government that has supported these kinds of initiatives in the past, that they would actually come out now and say, no, look, this is wrong, and as government, we would not participate in the federal initiative. I think that's very important.
Is there something you wanted to ask him, Rob? Because I got a couple questions for him, but
no, you go ahead.
feel
I mean,
free
this is
to-
definitely your wheelhouse. If I can think of something as Blair's answering, I'll chime in. But
okay, because I love this stuff. I'm always
yeah,
happy
yeah,
to speak
it's
about guns.
definitely
I don't
your
get to
thing.
speak
Yeah, you
about
go
it.
ahead.
And I don't get to speak about it enough. It's just one of the things we do on the show is we do a lot of deep dives into subjects. Like I'm the type to read a 140-page bill, take notes, and come back on the show and have legal experts come on and debate it with us to try to figure out what's really happening. And I was doing some digging because another thing that was part of the email that gun owners received is that this gun ban amnesty is set to expire on October 30th, 2026, which means that all those prohibited firearms and devices must be given to local police or permanently deactivated, because there's no chance of you're not grandfathered in like normal prohibition, like you're not allowed to keep them. But
no, that requires legislation. Yeah,
exactly. And if you do not register or give away, those guns or deactivate them by October 31st, 2026, we are becoming legal gun owners that purchased guns legally. Those are our property that we purchased legally. Yes. We become paper criminals. And as per the information that I can find, we're looking at 14 years, a maximum of 14 years in prison. And I just want to put it out there. If you possess an illegal firearm in Canada, they have 3 stages: the basic unauthorized possession, which you're looking at up to 5 years. If you have a prohibited / restricted firearm possession, so just to explain it, basic unauthorized possession is probably a long gun, what you expect to be a non-restricted firearm, something that you expect hunters to have. Prohibited or restricted, you're talking handguns, you're talking an AR-15 today, at least in the terms that we're speaking about it today, you're looking at up to 10 years. And this is often the one that is put as the demanded sentence. But then with knowledge / trafficking, correct me if I'm wrong here, but because I'm a gun owner and I would, let's say, willingly, knowingly not give my gun away, that would put me in the category of with knowledge. And now we're talking about 14 years. Just to put it into context, that means that I would be facing, as a legal gun owner, become paper criminal, I'd be facing as much time as someone who commits a rape with a firearm or cause bodily harm. That is how we are treated in Canada. So the question I have for you is, do you think that's going to be enough to scare Canadians into submission, similar to what I would say happened during COVID? You do this or not, but if you not, those are your consequences, because 14 years is not a joke.
The majority of Canadians affected by this initiative, no. We're hearing a lot of opposition to it. We're hearing a lot of and look, this really concerns me because I believe in the law, I believe in reasonable laws, I believe in common sense laws that actually affect public safety. And when I hear Canadians say, I will not comply with this because it is offensive and wrong, it is an offense against my citizenship, my heart breaks. Okay, because I understand why you say that, right? But the law is the law, and I understand how wrong this is, how offensive this is, and how un-Canadian is. And I will never forgive this government for perpetrating this as well, because they have brought the law into disrepute. Okay, this has to be a country. It's a country founded on laws. It has to be governed by laws. But they have brought the law into disrepute, and they have put people in the position of having to make a choice. And like I said, this is not the first time. The same thing happened back during long gun registry. If you did not get a license and register your firearm, you were a criminal under the same terms that you just that you just communicated. And a lot of people chose at that time not to comply. It's a sad situation. And I think the majority of Canadians would agree that, look, you're targeting the wrong people. And if you want to bring really, really, heinous and really, really punitive measures against them, you're doing the wrong thing.
You know, one of the things that my buddy told me about 10 years ago when I became involved in firearms, the guy that introduced me to it, he's like, you're going to have to understand something right now. As soon as you start the process of obtaining a license, you will become extremely political. You'll start to understand what really happens. Do you think that the fact that the average gun owner is extremely political, because we don't have a choice, we always have to be aware of what's going on, is going to play in the favor of us keeping our guns? Is going to play against the agenda that the Liberal government have with this gun ban?
Well, it has since the advent of the current Liberal agendas against firearms, and that goes back to 1995, in the imposition of the current Firearms Act. I mean, that was watershed legislation that imposed a mandatory firearms license for simple ownership or possession of a firearm, and mandatory registration of all firearms, not just handguns or ugly black rifles or something like that. Everything, rifles and shotguns, and everybody knew at that time that, look, they're getting ready to confiscate guns. And yeah, so I think gun owners have been political in this country very, very strongly for the last 30 years, and we've defeated governments and we've elected governments, and we will do that again. Okay, the Liberals have made a very, very bad mistake with this. Frankly, I thought they learned their lesson with long gun registration. I guess I was wrong. But the same thing is going to happen now. I mean, we represent a very, very large voting bloc. The Liberal Party has written that off for its own reasons. Okay, fine. We have a party in Canada that supports the rights and freedoms of Canadians, and the rights, freedoms, and property of firearms owners. And that, of course, is the Conservative Party. So we have alternatives. We have a solution to work towards politically. Thank God for that, because it wasn't like that back in the 1990s. But today it's a very healthy political system with very strong alternatives, and we will use that. We will use that to return rights and freedoms to Canadians.
Do you think that there's a chance that they will simply back down if the same thing nationally that happened in Cape Breton, where 12 people gave back 25 guns, if it fails that way? Because everywhere I go talking about this, everywhere I see online talking about this, people are not going to give their guns away. Like, it seems that is a lost cause. Do you think
We're
that
hearing the same
there's a
thing?
chance?
Yes.
No, that's all I'm getting. That's all I'm
Yeah.
getting. People are not interested. They had enough. They had enough of 10 years or 11 years of Liberal policies that completely decimated Canada. That's
Yes.
enough.
Do I see them backing down on this?
Mike,
No.
that's exactly where I was going with this.
No, they will not back down on this. They will pursue this as long as they are in power. Okay. It was the same with long gun registration. After the Auditor General's report in 2003 that found that the budget for the gun registration program was 500% over budget. That was very embarrassing for that government, but they said, we will bring the costs under control and we will continue with it. And they did until they were kicked out of office. And it's going to be a similar situation today. Okay. Will they make their targets in terms of people participating with this program? No, it's ludicrous. I mean, the timelines that they have are just completely illogical. There's no way they're going to confiscate the hundreds of thousands of firearms affected by this before October. It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. The logistics don't exist to do it. Don't forget this first stage, the voluntary stage, allows you to register your firearms so they can be confiscated at a later date. What that later date will be, we don't know. The government still hasn't worked out the logistics. And look, this is a huge country, okay? And without the participation of the provinces, and especially the major provinces like Ontario and Quebec, it's just not going to be able to be. It's just not able to take place. It cannot take place. There's not enough logistics. There's not enough manpower available to actually affect this. And now it's even an issue in Alberta, where it's we have a situation where people there want their own sovereignty, and gun rights is a very big part of that. So it's so controversial on so many fronts that the federal government is really between a rock and a hard place on this. None of this works, and none of it can take place this year, because the ways and means necessary to actually collect all these firearms, even from people who are willing to cooperate, don't exist. They're looking at ways to make it happen. They may get some of this infrastructure that's necessary to facilitate it constructed, but it's in no way. I mean, given the number of firearms and the size of the country, come on.
One of the parts that I find myself, one of the spot that I find myself kind of baffled is, I'm a legal gun owner. I don't want people to comply to the buyback program like until the 31st. I don't want people. That's what I released a video today talking about this, how we can't comply. We just have to stand up. We're more than 2.41 billion license owners in Canada, and some estimates say up to 4 million. So, because they calculated by addresses, and there's often multiple people under the same address.
2.4 million licensed firearms owners, probably double that unlicensed.
Yeah, sure. Those are the estimates I was seeing, about 4 million.
Yeah.
But the problem that I see here is, I want people to stand up for their rights. I want people to not comply with this whole thing. But I know that it would be illegal for me as even as an individual to say to my followers, hey guys, don't comply to the whole process. I've been smart. I said, don't comply with the buyback. Like, don't comply with the buyback.
It's not an offense to say don't comply with the voluntary portion of this.
My point exactly. But the question I have for you, as a representative, as the VP of communications for the NFA, what are you going to have to tell people to comply if it goes forward for the October 30th date? Like, how do we get a movement started for people not to comply to this?
Well, everybody's going to have to make his own decision. Okay. That's just where it lies.
Smart.
The law is the law. Okay. And we've been through this before. Canada's National Firearms Association exists to explain Canada's convoluted and crazy gun laws, because there is so much confusion about this. And I'm dealing with this every day. People are confused. They're in fear. They don't know what's required. They don't know what's not required. They call us, and we have to explain what is going on right now, what they're obligated to do, and what they are not obligated to do. Okay. So, that's our role. It's not for us to advocate non-compliance. We don't do that. We do not advocate non-compliance with laws. That's not what we're founded on. It's not our role. We will explain to people what the government wants to require on them, and then people will have to make their own decisions.
I expected this type of answer, because I'm struggling. I understand what it means, and it's a dangerous place to be, but at the same time, yeah, I'm just going to shut my mouth now before I say something I shouldn't be saying. So I want to thank you, Blair, for taking the time. You answered all the questions I wanted to ask you. I'm very impressed by your answers, by the way. I didn't know you. I did not know what to expect. I would love to have you back on. We have a lot of our guests that
absolutely. I'd love to come back on.
So
I mean, it was informative for me. I mean, obviously this is more Nico's wheelhouse, but I really appreciate the talk.
No, we're Canada's
national. For Rob to not be talking for almost half an hour, that's impressive. I've never seen it before.
That's a rare thing around here.
We're Canada's National Firearms Association. We're Canada's oldest firearms advocacy organization. We fought in Ottawa. We fight in the courts. Look, if you are confused about the laws, contact us. We will explain them to you in real time. we will explain them to you in plain language, not the bureaucraties you're going to get from the Firearms Center or the RCMP or Ottawa.
Thank you again for taking the time. It was a great conversation. I'm really looking forward to having you again, because this is something that's close to my heart, obviously, because it impacts me. So I'll make sure to keep in touch, and I want to make sure that that you come back to address more of this, because this situation is evolving. It's not we're not going to stop to talk about it until never. So I'll make sure to have you back on. Thank you a lot. Thank you very much for your time. If you don't mind staying in the background, I'm just going to kick you back to the back where we can see you, but you can't talk, just to make sure you're uploaded, you're ready to go. But thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks, Blair. So there you go, Rob.
Yeah. Good chat. You know, this is just one of those topics you know way more about. So I figured I'd let you take the lead. But it definitely learned a lot. You know, excellent answers. It looks like the audience was appreciative of it. Excellent.
No, it was great. I'm very impressed by speaking skills, because it's not an easy subject to cover. It is a very hard subject to understand, and I'm very happy that he responded, because I just reached out to the guys. They follow me on Instagram. I follow them too. I reached out to the guy that runs their Instagram. He's like, "Yep, I'll get you somebody," because that was literally 2 days ago.
Yeah. Well, as Sheridan Forbes says, one of your best guests ever. So, yep.
So there, Blair, and we interview a lot of people, Blair, because I know you guys can still hear us. So great interview, and I think we'll put a pin in her if you want to close it. I think we're done.
Yeah. Excellent show, guys. Obviously, we had a guest here for the last half hour, so we weren't able to get to as many comments as we normally do. But if you're just tuning in, this show is heavily based on audience engagement, audience participation. So normally, during a normal show, we're gonna get to a lot more of those comments. So please remember to get those in, whether you agree with us, disagree with us. We want to hear from you. If you are new to the show and you want to support us, you can become a member for the low price of $2.99 per month. You can do that through YouTube. You can also buy some coffee in the QR code in your upper right-hand corner. And of course, another way you can support us is just keep coming back, throw those comments in there, help us out with the algorithm. And so have an excellent night. I'm going to throw it to Nico. It looks like you got to do the Sheridan Forbes just reminded me of us.
No, I don't have to.
Oh, okay.
We're still in negotiation. We're in renegotiation. Okay. So I'm not claiming any sponsors right now.
Okay.
So thank you guys for reminding me. Thank you guys for reminding me. It means I do it a lot, so you guys pay attention. So thank you. But right now we're renegotiating. So I ain't sponsored by anyone.
Yeah. All right.
So that's it. That is all. Yes.
Yes. All right. Before we go, thank you, Lost Art 420 for those 5 gifted memberships. So if you got one, remember to thank Lost Art 420. Have an excellent rest of your night, guys. We will catch you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern, as always. Peace.